I'm here to talk to you about sustaining growth with a shortage of skills in the construction sector. So thanks for coming along. Have a seat. So basically, I'm going to talk to you about this subject. I'm going to talk to you about an example project that we're helping a company basically deal with a shortage of skills in the sector and get more out of the current resource that they have. I'm going to quickly introduce myself and the company, then I'm going to go into an example, and hopefully through that example you'll get some ideas that you can take away and provoke some thought when you go back to your businesses. So very, very quickly, one page. My name is Padraig Kenna. The company's VFECTO. We've been going for 8 years. We consider ourselves very results driven. And that's not us being arrogant. We know that business process improvement can be difficult, and getting people to change the way they're working can be difficult, but we come at it from a point of view of you're experts in your business, you're experts in the construction business that you have. We're good at what we do, and we come into your business and look at, well, you could have made more profit, you could have grown your sales another bit if you had to change this process. So we are working in the utilities, construction and manufacturing sectors, and we use lean tools and techniques to approach problem solving. So, okay, so back to the title then, sustaining growth with a shortage of skills. So as activity gathers in the construction sector, we are noticing a lot of businesses are recruiting. We're also hearing from our clients that they're struggling to recruit. So, site managers, surveyors, construction managers, project managers, site personnel, they're now starting to become difficult to recruit. I guess maybe the downturn meant that a lot of people left the sector, so maybe that's one of the reasons for the shortage in skills. Maybe people are afraid of going back into the sector. So, just had a quick look on Irish Jobs last week. A very quick look on one website. So on Irish Jobs last week we had 2,500 open job vacancies just on Irish Jobs. That's not including LinkedIn and all these other places for advertising. So that's just one example. A current client in the UK are really struggling with recruitment. They're really worried about how they're going to sustain the growth. They're a house building customer. And they're trying to drive down, introduce apprenticeship schemes. I know there's some talks all around, and even the one directly after this is about training and getting apprentices into the construction sector. The client that we're working with are trying to then drive apprenticeship programs into their subcontract supply chain, because they're worried about who's going to be the next site managers, the next surveyors, the next construction managers. So, just a little bit of stats for you. Irish construction employment is growing, so that's from source there, the Construction Index survey. I suppose if we marry those two things together and then add on the productivity issue within construction, so again, various sources of the data, but productivity is going down in the construction sector and has been for many years. I suppose there's many reasons for that, but again, linking it to today's topic, perhaps that's skills and apprenticeships. Maybe apprenticeships training was better. It didn't just cover the technical elements of doing the job, but it also trained people up in terms of how to resource schedule, how to work ahead, how to move people around, and how to just work smarter. So productivity is not necessarily about working harder, it's about working smarter. So I suppose I'm hoping that this is creating a bit of context, so maybe we need to do something different. I guess I now lead into the example where I guess we have a couple of examples, a couple of clients we're working with at the moment who have this problem. One of which I'll touch on briefly. House builder in the UK is about 400 million turnover. Very profitable company, but they're struggling with commercial processes, struggling with not enough robustness or rigor in their commercial processes, not getting surveyors out onto site enough, and really a lack of cost and value add on site from the commercial teams, because they're actually stuck in the office a lot of the time, bogged down with heavy admin burdens. So not very productive. And also worried about how, as they grow, as the revenue grows, how are they going to recruit the additional resources. So that was the sort of context with the client. So how do we look at a problem like that? We use lean tools and techniques, and lean provides the framework for looking at a problem, looking at pretty much most problems in a business. So just very quickly, lean in its simplest form is about the identification and the removal of waste in your business. And some of you may be familiar with the wastes, the lean wastes, but maybe some of you aren't. So very quickly, lean is about looking at processes. Could be processes on site, could be processes in the back office, but looking at it in the following way: analysing your process in terms of transport waste, unnecessary movements of products and material, looking at inventory, excess inventory, looking at motion, looking at waiting times, looking at overproduction, producing more than you need, which drives other waste, over-processing and defects. So in this particular example, we looked at their commercial processes in terms of waiting, in terms of over-processing, and in terms of defects and rework loops. So we'll go into the example again, but another one that I just added this, and I thought of this, well, I know that the Construction Industry Federation in Ireland, in trying to introduce lean to the construction sector in Ireland, sampled and surveyed a number of companies and asked them to try and look at their business in terms of these wastes. And one of the things that came back as I guess the top waste was overproduction on site. And that actually is a major driver of some of the other waste. So if you overproduce, if you're fitting out apartments or houses and you're skimming walls quicker or too soon before you need to, you then potentially drive in rework loops, you drive in more paperwork because you've got to deal with variation costs, and that has to go back to the office and go through sign-off processes. So again, it's just lean in its simplest form is about looking at your process in terms of waste identification. Looking at a process, identifying the waste, and then brainstorming ways of taking that waste out of the process. So what did we do in this particular example with this client? We looked at the current state. What were they doing? Okay, that's too small, you can't read that. But just a snapshot of some of the things we did. We looked at the day in the life of a surveyor in a commercial team, and then we rolled that up into a week in the life and a month in the life of a surveying team. So just an example there, we found that the average surveyor in this company were doing 2 hours per month on-site remeasures. So 2 hours per month on-site remeasures. And if you look at the job description of the surveyor, it was proactive cost management on-site, remeasure, working with the contractor, and negotiating around those measures. But let's face it, if they can maybe measure it a bit bigger than it actually is, they're going to try and charge you for that. So when we mapped their process, 2 hours per month, so it's clearly not enough. So we mapped their process, we worked with their team, and we, I guess, flushed out some of the rework loops, some of the delays, some of the waiting times, and some of the things that they were doing but didn't realise they were doing. And what did that tell us? Well, in this particular example, basically 63% of a surveyor's time was spent doing reactive work or in admin and meetings. So 63%, I mean, wow, that's a lot. So I'm sure that some of you are trying to think, okay, who in my team or who in my office is like this? Is this a representative? And how am I going to get the green bigger? So what do we do next? We started to look at the root cause of the problems. So we used some lean problem-solving tools and techniques. We got people together and we brought them through some structured problem solving. So we started looking at the roles, started looking at what they were doing, and started to look at potential corrective actions around that. Next then we summarised that all up. We estimated when we had 4 surveyors doing on average 42 hours per week, 168 hours in a month. There was 4 of them, so the total capacity of the team was 650 hours. Of that 650 hours, 250 hours out of it was administration and meetings. So it was about easily justifying bringing in additional administrative resource into the team and standardising those tasks such that we could move it to a different resource. I guess maybe some of you are still thinking about that 66 number, hopefully. So we proposed a new organisation structure. We also were able to, with sort of effectively a capacity analysis that we did on the team, we were able to help them figure out exactly how many projects any one surveyor could deal with at any one time. So that's the little green boxes there, surveyor could deal with, and we standardised that 4 projects at a time. And obviously they were building quite a standard product over and over again. I guess other businesses would have small projects, medium-sized, large projects, so they would maybe need to factor that in, maybe 2 small projects, 2 medium-sized projects at any one time, whatever. And we proposed to bring this new structure in to create that additional 30-40% capacity in the team. So this is 30 to 40% capacity improvement without recruiting additional surveyors, which are hard to find in the marketplace. That's just to bring it back to the title. So we got the structure in place, and what do you think happened then next when we recruited those people and we trained them and brought them into the team? What do you think happened? Maybe you want to venture a guess? This lady's nodding here. Do you want to venture what happened? Well, you think improvements just started to happen? Well, they didn't. Nothing happened. Yeah. No. No, nothing happened. People just, the resource was brought in and it was like, please stop doing that and give it over to this person. But it just didn't happen. So we had to change the way that they were working. So people are, I guess, habitual. It's a bit like going on a training course, and training courses are a bit of a bugbear for me in terms of send them on a training course, and then when they come back to the workplace, they're just going to do all that stuff that they learned in the training course. I think there's some statistics out there that say that 85-90% of what you get taught in training courses never get transferred into the workplace. But it's a bit like improvement. Good theory. Look at all that administration. We've recruited the people. It's easily justified, but didn't happen. So we had to change the way it worked, and we knew that was going to happen because we do these things all the time. People don't just start doing the sort of things that make a lot of sense to us, because we're not wedded to this habit or the condition. They could have worked in house building sector for years and years and years. They've always done it that way, so they're not just going to suddenly change. So we had to change the way of working. So how did we do that? We use a tool, a visual management tool, another lean tool for that. So we implemented a project control board, and we implemented a regular stand-up review process each week. And this was all very new. Why are we doing this? This is ridiculous. We already have procurement schedules. We already manage when we do this. We already do that. We already do that. This is about bringing it all out, making it visible, and building in these new challenges around moving the admin tasks. So part of the thing was 30 to 40% additional capacity. Why? We wanted to get them on site more. Why? Because we wanted them to be more proactive. We wanted them to do those on-site remeasures and add value. So we couldn't do that until we got them out on site. So we had to start tracking their site activity. And we had to start tracking their admin activity and their procurement and their tendering and the bits of that process that we wanted to move to the administrative task. So we had to create and hardwire that almost into the way that they work, and get them talking about that, and then train their manager up on accountability and how to drive accountability, and use the stand-up process, the weekly management process, and the visual management tools. and I guess it's a bit far away, the picture, but some of the headings are the new language that we've introduced in terms of admin, site work, site activity, proactive. How much of that are you doing? Oh, you're not doing any. Why is that? Well, because I'm still tendering. Why are you still tendering? You know, Mary over here is sitting with nothing to do. So it's trying to drive that accountability. And very, very quickly, within 4 to 6 weeks, we started to see it move. So just to sort of summarise that journey, sort of current state for that client, office-based surveyors, lots of admin, lack of on-site relationships and cost ownership, variation management was a problem and needed to be improved. We looked at their organisation structure, we looked at what they were spending their time at, we proposed a new structure, and as they were growing, it was easy to justify bringing in that additional resource because that was much more cost effective than bringing additional surveyors in. So we got the resource in place. We started to, and some of the things that came up, because it wasn't easy either, we couldn't necessarily move some of the admin because it wasn't standardised. They were all doing it slightly different ways. So we had to standardise the way, the folder structures, the forms they were using, and it uncovered lots of little buggy things that were going on in the process. We had to standardise that. So we standardised some of the tasks, got them moved. So we actually got resources, and this is really simple. Resources actually work into their job description. You know, a lot of businesses hire people and they've got all this good stuff in there about proactive cost and taking ownership, but then forget about that, and people aren't really taking responsibility, not really doing the value add parts of their job description that you're paying £50,000-60,000 a year for. So we had to track the admin tasks to get them moved. We implemented the weekly ways of working, the new processes and accountability. We started to drive surveyors out onto site more, and we got. Then we have to implement some additional review processes on site. So we're in the process of doing that, and we started to track risk and cost in the weekly review process, and we started to see benefits coming through. So variations started to get more under control. Estimated final costs became more accurate, and in general, budgets were more under control. So to get us to a future state of site-based surveying, majority of admin being done by admin, better relationships and better cost management. So I guess just to recap, hopefully, we've created giving you some ideas as to what, how we've applied lean tools and techniques to a particular problem. Just to touch on quickly lean tools, very, very quickly. The subject is a massive subject in itself, but very quickly, it's about adding value and chasing waste, so I've mentioned that. We've got a nice little booklet, an 8-page booklet that you can get from any of the guys as you leave here. Very simple introduction to lean. One of the guys in the back has it there. It's about mapping the process, about standardisation of tasks, it's about problem-solving tools and techniques, and about visual management at a very high level. Quickly, problem-solving, some tools and techniques on that. How would a project potentially work in your business? Select a project based on a problem that you have. Whether a resource issue or a process issue on site. Select a champion, select a team. We can come in, charter the project, put a bit of support around it, train your people up, and deliver a result. So very quickly, why would you work with us? I guess hopefully it doesn't come across being arrogant. You're experts in your business. We're experts at process improvement. So we do this over and over and over again. So I guess that's why potentially you might look to get some support from us. We have the knowledge, the project management, and we're looking to achieve financial return on any investment you make with us. Just a recent breakfast morning that we just ran, and just a few quotes from the clients in terms of benefits that they got from working with VFECTO. So a bit like the guy before. Not that great at selling, but if you get customers talking about the value that they get when they work with us, it's much more powerful. So just some quotes from that. What next? We're going to run more of those breakfast mornings, so if you want to attend one of them, we're running one in Dublin in September, more focused. I'll get it with a construction client talking about their experience and the benefits they've had working with us. Why don't you come along to that? You get a nice cooked breakfast one morning, about an hour, you'll hear from the customer, I guess that's a much softer way and maybe more comfortable way if you're thinking about taking an external third party like us to help you with your processes. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming. I'll be glad to answer any questions now or afterwards. Quickly, we've got the 8-page brochures on lean. Please take one. We're at stand 84. But apart from that, I'm done. Any questions? Okay. Cheers. Thank you very much.